Hey guys, I want to talk to you a little bit about blood work because it's pretty important. Are you getting a proper comprehensive panel or are you just getting your basic CBC? That's short for complete blood count. So if you're getting just a basic CBC, it's a great baseline and you can come to me with those results and I'll go over them. I can plug them in and do a metabolic assessment, which is where I calculate your numbers, combine them with other numbers, gives me indications of other things that are going on within your body. We call that a metabolic assessment because it goes over your lipid profile, see what's going on with your liver, we see what's happening within your sugar levels for insulin resistance, we're looking at your thyroid, if it's properly tested, chances are you probably just did your TSH and that's fine. However, it's not a broad enough indication as to what's happening. We need your T3, we need your T4, reverse T3, some antibodies. It's still a good baseline. So you got your basic CBC where you're testing your hemoglobin A1C. We're looking at hopefully your lipid profile. You know, you've got these clinicians that are out there that are like, ew, LDL is bad. First of all, anybody out there who's medically trained who's saying LDL is bad needs to kind of put their medical license on hold and go back to school. Why? Because there are different particle sizes, and it's the particle size that's important to note. So LDL isn't necessarily bad, it's the particles. One is not an ideal particle, and that can be problematic, versus another one that's really not harmful. HDL, LDL, much needed for our hormones. We need cholesterol for every hormone that our body produces. Very important, not to mention other functions. This shit's key, people. Okay, let's talk a little bit about B12 really quickly. Don't be scared of high numbers. It's fine. It depends on your school of thought. Some people don't mind high numbers. Some people are afraid of high numbers. Me, personally, if it's higher, it's fine. What I am concerned about is the genetic component, so please have your genes done properly. Here's the thing. We can talk about genetically polymorphisms. We can talk about MTHFR, and then everybody runs out and grabs a methylated version of a B complex or B12, their methylcobalamin, yada yada. Here's the thing, folks. If you've got MTR, MTRR issues, that's a problem. You need to look at adenosyl or hydroxy versions, otherwise you're gonna have anxiety through the freaking roof because the methylated version's just no good for you. That's something to be aware of. So it's not just about running a blood panel and saying, hey, I need to take more vitamin B. If you've got digestive issues, you might not be utilizing or absorbing your vitamin B, so if it's low, you might need to look at your gut rather than supplementing with more. There's always more to it, which is why, again, seeing a good functional medicine practitioner is so important. Let's talk about ferritin. All right, so ideally, you want your numbers to be in a good, healthy range. You don't want them to be super high. Anything over 200 for women is really, really bad. For men, that's super bad. When it's too high, it's just not a good time. When it's too low, it's just not a good time. But here's the thing, I'm seeing more and more in my practice. Men with elevated levels of ferritin. This is not good. So when your inflammation is high, you're going to get higher numbers. So you want to look at your inflammation, you want to look at your diet, what's going on with diet, because that's sometimes like the biggest player. So just look at your diet and kind of reassess a few things and see if maybe perhaps that's what's contributing to your inflammation, or, you know, blood sugar. Look at your blood sugar. If your blood sugar is, you know, out of range, it's off, that can also be a contributing factor. So that's something to note for ferritin levels. I will briefly touch base on thyroid. You need a comprehensive panel, and I can pretty much guarantee your doctor's not running it. If you've got a good doctor, they're not just running TSH, they might also be running your T4. Super! But I still need to know what you're converting to. So I need to know your T3 and also your reverse T3, plus throw some antibodies in there because, you know, those are important as well. When it comes to antibody ranges as well, I know that on the labs we see a lot of people that are like, the numbers are just super high before it's indicative of any kind of autoimmune inflammatory diseases or any autoimmune thyroid conditions. Here's the thing. Anything over 10 when it comes to your antibodies, TPO or TG, your thyroid peroxidase and your thyroid globulin, that to me is an indicator that there's something going on. Likely Hashimoto's, we treat for that. We assess, we look at your gut, we look into LDN therapy. That's another thing that we do here in clinic. There are many different avenues. You need to understand that someone needs to have proper thyroid training to really understand how to read these comprehensive labs. If your doctor's not running proper labs, that's an issue. Again, come to us, that's what we do here. If you got your labs run and you want them assessed, again, come to us, we can assess them. Gonna give you more information than the basic turn turn the page that your doctor's going to do when they go, yep, looks like it's in range according to the lab. Perfect, here we go. I do not want to be within range of whatever the lab says, because that lab is going to be an analysis that's going to have an average of a sick population. I don't want to be the average of a sick population. I want to be optimized in a healthy population. So comprehensive testing is key. Somebody knowing functional ranges is also very important. When you get your CBC, we can plug in the numbers. That's your complete blood count. We can look at your red blood cells, which can also tell me if you're dehydrated. We're going to look at your hemoglobin A1C. We're going to look at everything, which is going to give me an idea as to what's going on. Hopefully, you're also getting your vitamin D tested. Something to note, I've also noticed that some of the clinicians out there just don't really seem to get it. They look at your vitamin D. Your vitamin D is the 25 hydroxy. It's low. They top you up. Well, hang on a second. That's the inactive form. What about the 125? Do further testing. Do further investigation work. It's very important that you investigate further. When you do a baseline, it's sometimes indicative of, okay, now you've got a baseline that's showing me something's up. Well, let's take a bigger look now. Bigger picture. More pieces of the puzzle. So you test the 125 hydroxy and then also RBC magnesium, because at the end of the day, if you don't test that, you're not getting a big picture. Magnesium, 10% of it's in the blood. The rest of it's in the tissues, which is why RBC magnesium is so absolutely imperative to test. So you take that, if that's low, then you go, I need to top up my magnesium because that's what's needed for conversion and all of that usage. Once you build that up, test again. If that comes back normal, you're within range, you're great, but you still have low vitamin D, then you can look at, all right, now maybe we should be topping up and supplementing. But in a lot of cases, I find in my practice, we fixed it. That was the issue. So again, knowing how to read labs and what additional labs need to be ordered after is very important, especially in functional medicine. So for those of you who have your CBC done and you want to have a proper evaluation, feel free to send a message over on my website. You can purchase the metabolic assessment. It's up there under the store portion in my portal. Go, click, purchase. Send me your labs. I'm going to go over them. We'll have a session. We'll review what the markers mean. And you're going to get a 40-plus page document that's printed out that's going to not only show you what those proper ranges should be, so you have a point of reference, it's also going to show you how they add up to what's going on within, whether it's dehydration at a cellular level, issues with lipids, liver issues, whatever the case may be. It's going to show you how we came to that conclusion. It's also going to give you helpful tips and tricks, like what herbs should you be taking, what supplements maybe do you need short-term, long-term, and what food you should be eating to help course correct. Because some people prefer to get it from food and not from supplements, or some people need to jack things up, take some supplements, and then bring her back down. Food is medicine. Herbs are medicine. We got this. We can do this. So if you want to come on board for a metabolic assessment, or comment on the video if you'd like me to actually go over some real life lab results. I can use my own because I test pretty regularly. Let me know, and I'm happy to go through a basic CBC panel as well as some of the more comprehensive functional medicine parameters. All right, that's it. I'm out. My video is super long. I tried to stay under 5 minutes. Didn't happen.